Schaefer do the prayer, and I'll lead us in prayer.
Gracious Father, it is with rejoicing in our hearts and minds that when we enter into your presence just now, we're indeed thankful for a nice summer day that's been provided. And we ask that you would guide and bless discussions this evening as they come up. And may the decisions that we make be for the betterment of St. Joseph County. I pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, very good. Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Baker?
Here. Here.
Commissioner Malone?
Here.
Commissioner Rivalo?
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Yonker? Here. Chairman Hopkins?
Here. Very good. Adoption of the agenda.
What will set the agenda as presented?
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Rosado, second by Commissioner Malone. Any discussion?
I would actually like to see Stephen or consent agenda removed, please.
Okay, we have a motion for C to be removed. Do we have support? Sure. We have support by Commissioner Baker. Any further discussion?
C.
Now it's under C.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to know why, and I'd also like to know, are we putting it somewhere else on the agenda, or just completely removed?
Well, there's no action, it's just a receipt of something. If we're not paying bills, we're not, what I'd like to see is a check register, not a 109-page journal ledger. So it doesn't need to be on there. It's not an actionable item.
I disagree. I'd rather have that consent, but that's personal. Any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the aye? Opposed of removing it with an aye? Aye. Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, consent agenda. Or I'm sorry, adoption of the agenda. We have a motion. We have support. All in favor of the aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Consent agenda. We have a motion by Commissioner Malone. Support. Support by Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion. All in favor of the aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Okay.
Motion carries. All right, on to 6, public comment. This is an opportunity for us to hear from all of you. We have 4 minutes. We'll put it out there, and in respect of everybody's time, just ask that you stick to the 40 minutes. With that, we'll open the floor to public comment. You can say your name and address, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sarah Main, 19577 Thompson Lane, Three Rivers, Michigan, 49093. I have 2 comments regarding the turnaround on the vote last month regarding the renewal of the millage. In the training that I have had to learn Robert's rules, the role of the chair is only to direct the meeting. The chair is not to be using their role as a way to persuade others how to vote, or as last month happened, as a scare tactic. During the comment portion of the meeting, the chair made the comment that if the millage renewal was not passed, the county would struggle to make payments on its bills without the tax revenue in September, and that we would defund our police. So either the chair is not speaking the truth, or the county is passing budgets without knowing what their income is going to be. Both of these are concerning.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome.
Hi, Craig Cradle, 66274 Myers Road, Sherman Township. I didn't know she was going to be talking about Robert's rules, but I can continue. This is from the 12th edition, the latest one, I believe. And I assume we're subscribing to and going by Robert's Rules of Order. Is that what we're running these meetings as? Is that what we're doing? I'm going to read you Rule 43, Section 29. Rule against the chair's participation is a member of the society, or as a member of the society, he has as an individual the same rights and debate as any other member. But impartiality required of the chair in an assembly precludes his exercising these rights while he is presiding. Normally, especially in a large body, he should have nothing to say on the merits of pending questions. On certain occasions, which should be extremely rare, the presiding officer may believe that a crucial fact relating to such a question has been overlooked, and that his obligation as a member to call attention to the point outweighs his duty to preside at that time. To participate in debate, he must relinquish the chair. In such a case, he turns the chair over and it gives further. I suggest you get a 12th edition and read it. I've not had a ton of studies on it, but I've run enough meetings to know that there's some disconnect going on. So I'm going to offer some answers. I'm chairperson of the GOP Issues Committee, and we regularly get together and have our top 3. This is my second point. I have not seen, every one of you are called statutory members of the St. Joseph County GOP. Because of that, you're considered a voting member. And we have had numerous meetings where we have things like bylaws and rules that we're passing within our county GOP that we don't have enough votes for. We have 15 executive committee members, and we need, at any given time, we need to have a majority there, a quorum. And we can't do that sometimes. When we have 1 or 2 commissioners that are statutory members and voting members that show up, and we have 1 or 2 or 3 of us that are sick or like me, been in the hospital 40-some days in a 4-month period, I showed up at a vote when several of you didn't show up. I'd had surgery 3 days earlier. I could hardly walk. I came in, we couldn't pass our bylaws because we didn't have any statutory members there. It's a little disappointing. I'm going to give you an opportunity. We have a calendar that I've given to each of you for the next year, for this year, fiscal year. If you haven't got it, they're right over here. I thought they were getting it out, but I guess they weren't. We have all of our dates for our commission, our GOP meeting set up. Next Monday, we have one right across the street at the Baptist Church. I encourage you to show up. I said earlier, there's a disconnect. I feel strongly there's a disconnect with some members of this board. I feel that this is a good opportunity for you to start plugging into people who know their facts, who know their stuff about elections, about general Republican concerns on a local, state, federal level. I really am going to say this not as a threat. I'm going to say this as an informative thing. We passed new bylaws. I can't speak for the Republican Party. I'm part of the executive committee, but I'm not anything more than a voting member. But I can tell you, we are watching who shows up and who does what we, the people, are requesting.
Thank you, Fred. We appreciate it.
Anyway, you've got the dates. Saturday's Lincoln Dinner if you would like to go. That's a good place to go to.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Hello, Pam Ryan, the Executive Director of Commission on Aging. Whenever I come in front of the commissioners to present a report or request an amendment to the COA budget, you all seem to care deeply about the seniors of St. Joseph County, and I truly believe you all do. That's why I need to speak with you candidly about a vote last month on May 20th regarding the collection of millage taxes. The consequences for older adults in this county would have been devastating if the motion to approve millage taxes had not passed. The COA would have immediately lost funding across all of our departments, effectively rendering the Commission on Aging inoperable. That would have made 54 vulnerable seniors homeless and forced 454 individuals into nursing homes. Not because of illness, but because they would have instantly lost their home-delivered meals and in-home care. We don't have affordable housing available in our county for that many seniors, nor do we have 454 nursing home beds. These are not abstract numbers. These are our neighbors. These are your constituents. These are widows. These are veterans. These are people who've lived here their entire lives and now depend on us to help them age in place safely and with dignity. Let's not forget, 70% voters in 2024 approved the senior millage for 6 years. That's an overwhelming majority, a clear mandate from the people of St. Joseph County. They believe in what we do, they trust us to carry it out, and they voted to fund it. The first senior millage was voted on and approved in 1973 and has continued to have overwhelming support for 50 years. So I have to ask, why are their voices being ignored? It's troubling that a measure narrowly passed and promoted in part through support for Ask My Tax could have led to such serious consequences for our senior population. For those familiar with the needs of older adults, it's hard to overlook the risk this posed. Immediate threats to food security, housing, and well-being of over 500 seniors, and the disruption of essential services for more than 4,000. The COA's work touches thousands of lives, and decisions impacting the support must be made with full awareness of the stakes. These services aren't luxuries, they're lifelines, and they are now at risk. We serve 32% of the county's senior population. Without funding, we will not be able to help them age in place safely and with dignity. Last week, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. visited Meals on Wheels of Central Maryland to meet with national and local Meals on Wheels leadership and participate in a meal delivery. This is what Secretary Kennedy had to say, quote, "History will judge the humanity of our civilization by how we care for our elderly. Meals on Wheels does not just provide nutrition for malnourished, it combats the epidemic of loneliness through daily acts of care and compassion. President Trump has asked us at HHS to continue supporting Meals on Wheels so that no American in their twilight years feels forgotten. I encourage all of you to come on our Meals on Wheels delivery routes and see these essential services. I know some of you have done that in the past, and it's open to all of you. Please reconsider your approach going forward. We need your voice and your vote to ensure our seniors are not abandoned. We have an ethical and civic responsibility to uphold the will of the voters and protect the most vulnerable among us. Thank you.
Thanks,
Hello, my name is Kristen Nelson, and I'm from Farm River Township. I want to be clear about what happened at the last meeting because it can't be brushed aside or rewritten. This board became within a single vote of defunding the entire county. Because of pushback over a routine 3.1% inflation adjustment tied to the millage budget. A vote was taken, had it stood, would have frozen funding for nearly everything. And based on what I saw and heard, some commissioners didn't even realize the consequences of the vote until it happened. This is not governance, this is dangerous. A revote was called and the budget was barely passed. But that doesn't undo what we learned, that some of the members of this board are willing to jeopardize the entire county budget over political points, or worse, confusion. Then, in the same meeting, two commissioners encouraged residents to look into a proposal called Ask My Tax, a plan that would eliminate property tax in Michigan entirely. So I did what you asked. According to that plan, local funding would be replaced by sales and income tax and sin taxes collected by the state and redistributed back to the counties. Let's be clear about what that means. Property taxes are what fund everything in our community, every single thing. They are stable and they are local, and they allow this county to fund itself. Replacing them with state-controlled revenue would mean giving up control of our own budget and trusting that the state will prioritize our tiny rural county when it comes to time to divide the pie. Sales and sin taxes also hit working families the hardest, unlike property taxes, which are based on land and wealth. These taxes eat a bigger share of income from those already struggling to make ends meet. That's not tax relief, that's a shift. This isn't just a bad idea, it's a direct threat to the future of local services. And finally, I want to speak to the argument I heard about the parks, that the county shouldn't be competing with private wedding venues or campgrounds. But here's the thing, the county, as was expressed in the last meeting, already charges market rates specifically to prevent undercutting private business, so that argument doesn't hold up. And I actually don't even agree with charging that much for public spaces. I think we should keep them affordable for St. Joseph County residents. But if this is really about protecting private business, then the county's already doing what the commissioners want. So why keep attacking the parks? The truth is, when you frame public services as competition, you treat government like it's something separate, but it's not. We are the taxpayers. These services exist because of us and for us. They're not luxuries, they're not profit centers, they're what make the community livable, accessible, and whole. So I'll end with this. If the goal is to dismantle our public services and hand more control to the state, then just say so. Or don't hide it behind bad math and hollow buzzwords. Don't tell us you're protecting taxpayers while taking away the very things our taxes are supposed to protect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Private Civilian Andrew Brand, General Post Office, Centerville, Michigan. I have several things I'd like to comment on. I only have 4 minutes, so I'm going to try and be brief in my comments. The meeting from last month, they talked about artificial intelligence and doing an agreement between St. Joe County and Berrien County. Artificial intelligence is a way to get digital information about everyone, and when you do that, it's a Fourth Amendment rights violation, and basically when you have everything on everybody, there's no freedom anymore. So I highly encourage the St. Joe County Commissioners and anybody involved with artificial intelligence to take a close look on what's happening with that information. I was deeply disappointed that I couldn't get away from work at the executive committee meeting last Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon when everybody's at work. And why are we having a meeting at 4 and 5 in the afternoon when everybody's at work? And the sheriff was there with the undersheriff complaining about 6 to 9 months behind on FOIA requests. Well, a friend of mine's had one that he's been looking for 3 months. And another friend of mine's been looking for one for 3.5 weeks and was told that they'd be put at the top of the list. It still doesn't happen. So there was an incident the other day at the courts here to the south, and a woman was asked for a copy of the recording and the audio. We had it in 10 minutes. We had a recording from these guys in 10 minutes. I really hope that what's going on over there in Centerville isn't a created condition for a desired outcome like the Sturgis Middle School. When they didn't do maintenance on the old Sturgis Middle School next to the Sturgis Young Auditorium, and then they showed the pictures in the paper, and the middle school shot, we got to tear the middle school down, and then all of a sudden, magically, the St. Joe County Commission is at the Sturgis Middle School, and they didn't tear any of the Sturgis Middle School down, but they spent $45 million for a new Sturgis Middle School. Let's talk about the parks for a second. My mom went to King Mill Park in Centerville, and she said they had a beautiful sign out front, and the bathroom was atrocious. So I don't know who's involved with the parks, but I encourage somebody to get over to Kings Mill Park and look at the bathroom because it's atrocious. Let's go back to the county commission meeting last month. At the end of the meeting, I stayed for the entire meeting. It was a 3-hour meeting. It was packed. I was excited that they didn't raise taxes again. Property taxes 3.1%, but then at the end we had theatrics from the chairman, Jared Hoffmaster, who talked about if we can't get this 3.1%, we're not going to be able to pay the sheriff's department for the raise. I don't think that's true. And I'm deeply disappointed with Sturgis and Three Rivers continually, 25 years that I've been involved, sending people to the county commission that want to spend. Regarding live streaming commission meetings, I sure hope that you're going to allow people the opportunity to not be live streamed, because I, for one, don't want to be on the internet. I don't want my picture on the internet. I don't want anybody taking my picture anywhere I go. If you want to have my voice, that's fine. But I don't want to be on the internet. I hope you folks are taking that into consideration.
And we need to wrap it up, please.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention briefly was the parks and a comment by Louis Rosado on the U.S. Constitution. The parks aren't in there because they're not part of what we do. And so with the Chevron doctrine, we had 82 years of government agencies creating law and interpreting law. We just had a Supreme Court decision at the end of June saying we've had 82 years of bunk with agencies creating and interpreting law. Just because other people are doing it wrong doesn't mean we need to do it wrong. Thank you.
Come on up. Welcome.
Welcome. Tim Farrell, Florence Township. Sorry I missed your last meeting there. It's quite a shootout in the paper there. Actually interesting reading. I do want to take time to thank you commissioners that when I called you, you answered the phone and talked to me there. It's very helpful information that I got out of all of you or whatever. But you know, I keep listening, keep hearing the parks, and then we've got an experience with Florence Township here with the court system. The operation of this board has now become criminal. You're sitting there taking money from the St. Joe County taxpayers to sit here and build parks to draw people in while you're neglecting the actual service that you are elected to take care of. I don't know what else to do, but I've got a letter I'm going to get a hold of the governor with again. You guys will get a copy of it. The thing is to sit here and dump millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars into building parks, and then you neglect the system that is supposed to keep us safe. You know, there's been several murder cases that have went on in here for 10 years unsolved and then got solved because of other counties, other personnel that was properly trained to be able to do this. And why did that happen? You know, this has become unacceptable, and the thing is 50 years ago, this board was deflated. There was 24 commissioners. I haven't found yet who in the state actually forced this board to go to 12. And they forced it to go from a 4.9% tax rate to 4.5. It's time history repeats itself. This has gotten out of control. You sat there, I've heard a comment that the park barn out at the Covered Bridge only grossed $32,000. Anybody that's in business knows the maintenance on that barn alone would be $32,000. And the thing is it's been made a comment, well, that just shows we're not in competition with anybody. That was taxpayer money that used to build it that was close to $1 million. This is a luxury for this board. You folks weren't on it. You had the first board meeting to introduce it out there. It's a luxury for this board to go play in. That, you know, this is, like I say, it's now criminal. There are laws that you are breaking to operate this board. Can we get somebody? I don't know. But with what's happened in Florence Township and the court system, something will change. I am sure of this. Have fun.
Thanks.
Good evening, Commissioners. Gordon Evilsizer, Florence Township, White Kitchen. How's everybody tonight? I have a simple question. I've been up here before and asked it. Once again, I'm here to ask a question. I know you're not going to answer it, but Where are we at with our Lily White lawsuit? Is it unsettled? Is it still active? Because I'm inquiring on what that cost us, and I can't seem to get an answer. All I get from Teresa is, I don't know. I don't know. Well, there's somebody at this county that has to know, and Rick, you're my commissioner. Can you get me an answer to that question, or can you get me the name of the attorney that's representing that case? Because I think as a public person in this county, and everybody ought to know what that cost us. That's the question I have tonight. And if I can't get an answer, I'll be back to ask it again. Thank you.
Why do you say my name? You know who I am. Paige Willis, 104 East Hudson Avenue, White Pigeon. So I have a couple of things to discuss. So I was on the county website before I came in. We have 22 boards and committees within St. Joseph County. As I went through the list, 20 out of the 22 do not have their meeting minutes online. There are 4 that are as needed, which I understand those possibly wouldn't have it. But the last time I discussed this, you guys, the planning commission now has officially been putting theirs online. And the road commissions are on their website. But the other 20 do not have them on there. And I have the list if you want it. Another thing I would like to discuss, this is a rough topic right now, but Eagle View. So I have been doing my digging into Eagle View. In the executive meeting back in November of 2023, I did attend and I did live stream that one. When it was brought up at that meeting, it was told that it was going to go to a board meeting, not to be put on the budget. So with that being said, and I went back and rewatched that meeting several times, the meeting minutes from that meeting are not correct. It says it will remain on the budget, and equalization would charge the users for the data to recoup the costs, which is not what was said at the meeting. With that being said, we are paying $34,988 a year for this project, or it's not a project, it's equipment. I have called all 19 townships and villages within St. Joseph County. Not a single one wants to use it. So you guys approved Eagle View without knowing that anybody would recoup the money. So we spent that money and nobody wants to use it besides the county. With that being said, I also have a copy of the contract that I have been looking through. And page 9 out of 14 states that you guys, term of agreement, you can cancel this contract when the expiration date comes or the renewal order forms. It gets renewed every 3 years. With that being said, knowing that not a single person wants to use it, I highly suggest you guys do not pass this again in 3 years. Because with the form that I received states that this originally was requested back in 2021, but you guys didn't bring it to a board meeting or executive board meeting until 2023, which doesn't sit right with me either. And altogether, in the 6 years of this contract, we will be spending $204,024. It might be more now. But with that being said, the local cost shares for everybody locally, there is, I believe there's 19 altogether, would be $104,964 that you already want the taxpayers to pay again due to the fact that you've already paid it once through the county, which is double dipping, which is illegal. I do have a copy of the letter that was sent to every township and village, and 9 out of the 19 did not receive this letter, did not know anything about Eagle View. I had to explain it to them, which you guys stated that everybody knew anything about it, and I've spoken to supervisors, presidents, managers, not a single one knew anything about it. So with that being said, a lot needs to be looked at if we're trying to save money, and I know that's the main issue with everybody, and the taxpayers' money and taxes increasing. This is one way to cut money because nobody wants to use it besides the county. Thank you.
Thanks, Thank you, Paige. Anyone else want to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Move on to presentations. Our first presentation is 2024 Drain Commissioner Annual Report presented by Jeff Lundberg. Come on up, Jeff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jeff Wenzel, St. Joseph County Drain Commissioner. To start out with, I'd like to invite anyone that wants to read the Drain Code of 1956 and its amendments. It'll take a while. If you can't sleep at night, it's a good one. So in the St. Joe County, we've got 187 county drains. There's two kinds of drains. There's a private drain or a county drain. County drain has to be followed by the Drain Code of 1956. It has an assessment district, making it a county drain. So there's two different kinds of them. We have 187 of them. We did 128 soil erosion permits. Soil erosion permits are through Eagle and Department of Energy and Environment. And anytime anyone's within 500 feet of waters of the state or disturbing over an acre of land, they need to get one of those permits. We have 14 court-ordered legal lake levels that I'm in charge of. That's a challenge. 14 lakes. We did 22 maintenance permits last year, and basically maintenance permits I hand out, and it's usually a farmer that wants to do maintenance on their property. I go out, talk with the farmer, walk the drain. He does the work, there's no assessment. That works out really, really good. We did 31 drain projects through the drain office last year. We did 6 drain assessments last year. All of the water control structures have been inspected, so we're good for another 3 years. Back a long time ago, there were problems there when they weren't getting inspected in a timely manner. We're up to date. So the assessments that we did this last year was the Hoover Kelly and Flowerfield Township, the 9 Drain in Sturgis Township, that's year 4 of 5. Park Drain, that's in Park and Lockport Township, Wilcox Drain, in Lockport, Long Lake, Fabius Township. They needed a new pump. Long Lake pumps their water from their lake to the Clear Lake, and they needed a new pump. And Gillen Drive, Fabius Township, and Flowerfield Township. And basically, I'm different boards. I'm a board member of the Friends of the St. Joe River Association meetings. I'm a board member of the Board of Public Works, board member of the Park and Rec, Poland Lake Board meetings. I'm on that board, and the Lake Lane Improvement Board. I'm the treasurer on that. Any questions?
Any questions for the Commissioner? Very good. Thank you for your report, Jeff. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, moving on. 2024 Planning Commission Annual Report. Robert, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Bob Morton, Chair of the County Planning Commission. During 2024, we continued to review zoning amendments, zoning ordinances, those types of things. Some of those that we did review were like short-term rentals, accessory buildings in residential areas, rezonings. Big one down in White Pigeon with the rezoning for the from single-family to multi-family housing, which is desperately needed. And quite a few townships are adding chickens for backyard egg production. One thing to remember about the County Planning Commission, when we review these, we are an advisory board only. We do not approve or decline the actions of the townships and villages. So We can make suggestions, which we do, with the help of the South Central Michigan Planning Council. And sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But the townships and the villages do what they want to do. The next thing that we have here is the development of the county master plan. I know this has been a sticking point for us. It's taken way too long. It should have been done a long time ago. But it's expanded now with the townships and villages being added to it. What this does, if the townships and the villages get a quote from a private consulting firm, it can be $45,000 to $100,000. Working with the South Central Michigan Planning Council, adding it to the county plan, that cost goes to $3,000 to $5,000. A huge saving for the townships and villages. That is about complete now. We will have a public hearing probably July or August, and then it should be complete in books. Last thing I have to report on is that the County Planning Commission continues to review the farmland preservation agreements. This is an agreement between the landowner and the state. They agree to certain restrictions for use of the land, and in exchange for tax deductions, tax credits. During 2024, there were 15 applications, and that preserved 703 acres of land in the county. Any questions for me?
Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. 2024 Branch Hillsdale, St. Joseph County Health Agency Annual Report.
Good evening, Commissioners. Rebecca Burns, I'm the Health Officer at the Branch Hillsdale St. Joseph Community Health Agency, and I'm glad to be here today to talk with you about the 2024 fiscal year annual report. I do want to especially recognize our chair for 24, who was Jared Hoffmeister, Commissioner Hoffmeister, and the other commissioner that served on our Board of Health, Rusty Baker, who we have a typo in our annual report, so I'm going to point that out, and I'm very sorry about that. We gave him a new name, and I am feeling quite bad about that right now. So, anyway. So if I could draw your attention to the report that I placed at your place. On the first interior page, you will see the Board of Health members listed there, as well as the agency directors. So I have a director staff of a medical director who is a part-time physician who provides that medical oversight that is required in the Public Health Code. I have an administrative services director, a director of personal health and disease prevention, a director of environmental health, and then finally, we are a unique health department. Along with Kalamazoo County, we have the Area Agency on Aging for Branch and St. Joseph counties that falls underneath the local health department umbrella. So that's a unique opportunity and works well in providing services to all residents in Branch and St. Joseph County especially. So if I could now have you look at the very last page, last interior page, I wanted to explain how we're structured. So the Public Health Code allows for counties to form district health departments. So that's what has been done here in Branch, Hillsdale, and St. Joseph counties. The district health department is governed by a Board of Health. The Board of Health is made up of 2 commissioners from each of the 3 counties. I report to that board, and then you can see from there the pink or orange colored boxes are our director level positions. We have a blue box, which is a supervisor position, and then underneath those buckets, you'll see the programs, or at least the primary programs for each of those divisions within the local public health department. All right, and then I'm going to swing back to page 3, which is the Dear Community Letter. This report does talk about things that we did in 2024. So in 24, we looked at many programs to protect residents, including those that look at lead, radon, tick, and mosquito-carrying diseases. Bird flu was especially prevalent in 24. And we looked at safe storage of marijuana products to protect children from those items. We provide WIC services to all 3 counties to improve nutrition and education of families. We provide seasonal and routine vaccinations, breastfeeding support for moms, hearing and vision screening for children, and we support children with chronic conditions through our Children's Special Health Care Services program. An important and unique program that provides case management, nurse case management to families with children that have these chronic conditions. The program does see children up to age 26, and there is no income requirement for children to be eligible. We also provide communicable disease investigation, STI and HIV follow-up and testing, and we respond to human-animal encounters with concerns such as rabies. In 24, we looked at establishing a kindergarten oral health assessment program, and we're able to roll that out in FY25, which we're currently in. But we did planning in FY24. That provides a demo screening for all kindergarten students in our 3-county area at no cost to families. Our environmental health team supports residents by ensuring safe drinking water, sanitary sewage disposal, safe food service, and they also do smaller programs like inspecting campgrounds, public swimming pools, septic hauling trucks, distributing radon test kits, and they work hard also to prevent disease. Our Area Agency on Aging 3C continues to support adults who want to age in their home and help those that are victims of abuse and exploitation. They pair well with your Commission on Aging. We ensure maintenance of facilities. So in St. Joseph County, our building is owned by the county, but we have a lease to maintain that for you. And at least in St. Joseph County, this year, I'm a little ahead of myself, we've done painting, we're about to replace the carpet. We continue to maintain all of our buildings in all 3 of our counties. And finally, I would just say that the folks that work at the Public Health Department, here we have offices in 3 Rivers and in Sturgis, are very proud to support the needs of residents in our 3-county area. We work very hard to meet the needs of those individuals that have need, and we are very pleased to do that work. So thank you for your time. Anyone that wants to look at the annual report can go to our website, ehsj.org.
Good. Any questions for our director?
Yeah. We have an amazing health agency, and Rebecca did a nice job outlining, giving some highlights, what's happening. But I think one of the things that I'd like to underscore is they are a tremendous resource for health questions. Whether it be infant immunizations, senior care, if there's something that's happening in your family and it's somehow related to health and wellness, give our health department a call. If they specifically can't help you, I know that they have resources available to point you in the right direction. Great report.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I have a couple real quick. So I do serve on the health agency board, and I appreciate, just like what Commissioner Schrader said, I appreciate all that you all are doing, keeping us healthy and safe. One of the things that we're working on right now, and you'll see this, hopefully you've seen it in the community, we got a highway safety grant,
yes.
And so you'll see in our communities talking about safety on the roads with our Amish neighbors, which is really good. I've seen it all over the place. I don't know if it's because I'm out of work, I see it, you know, I know it. But that's really neat. Keeping our Amish population safe, and obviously everybody's sharing their own thing. And the second thing too, I'll tell you, so when Rebecca talks about the children's special health care services, so when I was 14, my brother and I lived with a single mom, and she struggled with identity. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And back in the day, it was crippled children, so I'm glad they changed the name here. So back in the day, we had the opportunity to partner with the health agency, and it was a lifeline. Because trust me, we didn't, especially back then, type 1 diabetes was hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, you know, close to $1,000 a month. So it was really impactful in my life, and I know my family appreciates it. And then when Lincoln, you know, went through his thing, you guys did a great job too, so appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for what you do. Awesome, thank you so much. All right, moving on. Area Agency on Aging Annual Implementation Plan, Mrs. Morrison.
Yeah, so good evening, commissioners. It seems like I was just here a couple of months ago. Time has flown by since the last time I presented the plan update to all of you. We are, Branch St.Joseph Area Agency on Aging is one of 16 regional planning and administrative and advocacy agencies in the state of Michigan. As Rebecca mentioned, we are unique. We're designated to develop, coordinate, and administer an array of services to support the independence and dignity of older adults, family caregivers, and people with disabilities across Branch and St. Joseph counties, and we're uniquely housed as a department within the local public health office. So the Board of Health serves as our policy board, so it's very collaborative and very efficient. We are advocates for consumer choice, and we serve as a comprehensive resource on long-term care. As a designated area agency on aging, because we're a part of a network that's nationwide, there's over 600 area agencies on aging that serve our country. The Older Americans Act, and in the state of Michigan, its sister legislation is called the Older Michiganians Act, provide the funding that we use to contract for service provision with local agencies and organizations. Older adults, family caregivers, and others who care for older adults in our region receive essential in-home and community-based services such as personal care, homemaking, congregate and home delivered meals, legal assistance, transportation, respite care, and caregiver services. So these federal and state dollars complement the local millage funds that have been discussed earlier tonight. We work together. The purpose of this annual implementation plan is to serve as our planning document for next fiscal year. So it updates a multi-year plan, which is based on community input, key leader input, all sorts of data and demographics. And so this is the estimate of what we're hoping to receive for next fiscal year. We remain diligent in prioritizing in-home services, such as personal care, homemaking, respite care meals. They're the number one demanded services in St. Joseph County. Then we focus on access services, which assist people to and from the services and organizations and things that they need in the community. So transportation, case coordination and support, and people that are very complex in their care might need care management, which is a program called the Community Living Program that our office administers. We also prioritize caregiver-focused services as well, such as caregiver education, support, and training, and we offer tools to stay well and give families a break. Next year, we're going to continue to provide information, outreach, try to help people understand what's available to them to support their questions, their needs, and anything that may come through on the health department line or through the Commission on Aging. We're a very collaborative network across these counties. So the budget summary is the very last page, and it kind of gives you the snapshot of these federal and state dollars. It also outlines which services we've heard from individuals that we should be funding. How much of that grant and local funding is involved in each program is outlined in that snapshot. And then it's not much different in 2026 than it is this year. So there's really nothing alarming or But we are, remaining very concerned with how federal funds came through this year. Especially our Board of Health members understand some of the challenges that we've faced in the first 6 months of this calendar year. And we're going to remain diligent at our advocacy role when that comes, when it's needed. So, some of the program development objectives that we're working on next year include enhancing the adult day and respite services for the county because our provider terminated their contract at the end of 2024. So we really want to be flexible, and if families who may be listening or are here today might need a break, please call our office because we'd be interested in talking to you about options to have respite from your caregiving roles. We know that that's a very stressful, can lend a lot of stress to a family. We'll also continue our efforts and our diligence in addressing elder abuse prevention and awareness activities. So we have a really great best practice tool that we use locally for this, and it's called the St.Joseph County Vulnerable Adult Protocol. Many of you know this already, but we continue to have wonderful meetings, collaborative meetings. We're meeting tomorrow at the Sheriff's Office. I'm excited. I haven't seen Mr. Northrup, but I hear he's in the building. We're very excited to meet with the leadership of the Sheriff's Office because the court partners, including law enforcement, our prosecutor, the courts, we all have a role, but we also have creative ways to address complicated cases, and that's exactly what this interdisciplinary team and the protocol outlines. So we're very proud of that in this county, and I think all of those court partners that I mentioned would say that they're proud as well as the other mental health organizations. Pivotal is engaged, Housing, Keystone is engaged, the Commission on Aging is engaged, whether it's not the director, it might be their in-home services director that attends. I mean, it's just it's a huge commitment that we're all really holding near and dear to our hearts because we don't want vulnerable adults to be taken advantage of. So throughout this planning process, which starts around the holiday season, just after the holiday season, we glean input from our policy board and our advisory committee, which Commissioner Schaefer is a part of, and hear some of the caregivers and local folks that are on that committee share input. Our health and human service partners also provide input. We did hold a public hearing in St. Joseph County at the end of April that very positive, supportive comments, so we're always open to that. They're very supportive, especially related to adult day programs and creative options to help support families for respite care. So the plan does meet the approval criteria established by the Michigan Commission on Services to the Aging. It's like the board of the directors for the state unit on aging. And it was approved by our Board of Health. So it will be submitted in the next few days to the Bureau of Aging, Living, and Supports. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that. Any questions?
Commissioner, you touched on a subject which unfortunately I think there's always rumors about the government. Okay, as long as we hear the rumors, it's really hard to act on it. Is there a specific agency that you should refer? Is that to you? Is it to law enforcement? What is the proper? Just realizing you have to be careful because it may have just been it is a concern out there. We have an aging population and a great deal of good people I serve fall into that. And so it is an ongoing thing. So who would you reach out to?
We always encourage people, whether they want to share who they are and where they live or not, to report that suspicion of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a vulnerable adult to the centralized intake phone number. It operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if I could, I would love to give you a card that has the number on it. It's an 855 number, and it goes straight to a highly trained call center individual, and if it meets some criteria, they'll assign it to the local adult services staff here in St. Joseph County. And they have statutes that govern the timeliness of that response, and it's quite a dynamic process. But they're open 24/7. It can be anonymous, or it can be more specific if the individual that is reporting their suspicions wants to disclose that information.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you.
Good question. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Great report. Senior Health and Wellness. And she went on and on to elaborate about our area agent on aging, and also and about our Commission on Aging, where she actively is involved in exercise programs. So we are very fortunate, folks, to have such good support for our seniors in this county. And I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again, but we came so very close in the early mid-90s to losing our local identity here. We came very close to being gobbled up by Kalamazoo County. So any questions that you have, or your family has, these two ladies are awesome resource people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for your report. All right, moving on. 7E, MSU Extension Annual Report, presented by Kai Ritter. Kai, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all today. My name is Kai Ritter, and I'm serving as the interim district director in MSU Extension, covering St. Joseph County. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to share the highlights from our 2024 annual report. I believe you'll have a copy of that. Wonderful. So I'm just going to walk you through this annual report and just share some of the highlights from our staff and efforts here in St. Joseph County. First off, I just want to thank you and just offer our sincere appreciation for your continued investment for our work. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do. I'd also like to acknowledge the dedicated team who serve residents every day right here in St. Joseph County. And they are highlighted on the first page of the report: Kermit Johnson and Jackie Brazo, who serve as county support; Kayla Mitchell, who is our 4-H program coordinator; Kathy Fisher, the 4-H supervising educator; Eric Anderson, John Laporte, Nicole Ritchie, and Lyndon Kelly, all of whom work as part of our agriculture and agribusiness educators. So I have many staff here today, and if you have any questions specific to their programs, I'd be more than happy to field those. So let's talk numbers. I have quite a few numbers on our first page. Just wanted to highlight that over 2,000 county residents were reached through our programs last year. 648 youth are actively enrolled in our 4-H programs. 984 residents join our nutrition and health programs, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. And then over 270 participated in our agriculture education programs. We have almost 250 volunteers right here in St. Joseph County, and it's just wonderful to see the impact that they are offering. We hosted over 50 local programs and connected residents to an additional 283 offerings statewide. So it's just great to see how we are partnering with St. Joseph County. Now I'll encourage you to go to the next page, and I'll talk a little bit about our Youth Development Program. We saw an increase in youth participation and welcomed 22 new volunteers in the past year. This is really a sign that families are engaged and invested in their children's development. Youth took part in our Michigan 4-H Exploration Days and Summer 4-H Camp. Great reviews for that. They were forming connections, building skills in leadership, STEM, and civil engagement. We also had a conservation tour that introduced 315 fourth graders to soil health, pollinators, wildlife, through a very fun, creative, and interactive experience that both students and the teachers appreciated. And then later in the year, in November, we had a banquet to honor our volunteers. It's really important to show gratitude where it's due. So we honored our volunteers and our donors for their ongoing support. So these are more than activities. They're pipelines to building confident and thriving and equipped future leaders right here in St. Joseph County. At this point, I'll invite Kathy Fisher to come and share a bit more about the 4-H program.
Hi everybody, welcome. I am Kathy Fisher. I serve as the 4-H supervising educator and work with the 7 counties in Southwest Michigan, including St. Joseph County. So Kai talked a little bit about numbers and some stories in there. You can read all of those. I want to tell you why we do what we do. And that has to do with this 4-H driving model right here. This is the 4-H theory of change model. So when kids come into 4-H, usually they're coming in at the bottom of this model, the soil of our flower. And at that point, we want to help them find their spark, something that lights their fire, that they enjoy doing, that brings them peacefulness. We want to encourage them to be engaged in our program, but also engaged in their own learning while they're in our program. So our program is very youth-focused. They have a say in what they get to learn in our program. We aren't dictating that to them. We want to help them build relationships. Youth-adult partnerships are key to youth being on a thriving trajectory, and without those partnerships, that thriving just doesn't get to the point where they are truly being successful. So creating those partnerships outside of their home, with our 4-H volunteers, with our staff, with other family members, to help them develop that positive relationship there. And then we want them to have a sense of belonging. We want them to feel like they belong to our organization, to their individual club, to whatever program they're taking part in. And then as we go up the model, we start talking about all these other things. And ultimately at the top, the flower, when it's blooming, we have a youth that's thriving, that's doing great things back in their community, maybe someday sitting in one of these seats. But we can go back and talk to youth that have been engaged multiple years and figure out what really did the impact of our program have. So for us, it's really about impact. The numbers are great, and I know everybody loves numbers, but it's really about what we're doing for those youth and how we're affecting change within them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And you see the passion she brings, all of our staff and volunteers bring that to our youth, and we're so grateful for that. So next, if you could walk with me, we're going to move on to the next page, and we'll talk a little bit about the agriculture and agribusiness offerings that we have right here in St. Joseph County. And as I get started, I'll invite Nicole and Eric to come on up, because they'll also be sharing just a little bit about the work that we do. So Emissary Extension Agriculture and Agribusiness Team supports farmers and growers right here in St. Joseph County. We highlighted some of the highlights for 2024. We have the DEMAND program, which won a national award. This equips new and small farm business owners with tools to thrive. We also purchased a way wagon, which was funded by lots of local support, and this is to help farmers be able to collect accurate harvest data. At the end of the day, we need farmers to be able to make critical decisions that will be productive in the long run. And then we also highlighted the Michiana Irrigated Corn and Soybean Conference, and this reached producers both in Michigan and Indiana, and it helps them to manage over 42,000 acres. I am a bit ahead of myself there. 42,000 acres with a projected economic impact of almost $500,000. So Extension doesn't just support ag, we help it evolve and stay competitive. And so I'm going to invite them all to share a bit more, and then I'll close this out.
Thanks, Kai. And thank you all for letting us be here today. I do want to point out just a couple of things. First of all, St. Joseph County is the county in Michigan with the highest percentage of acres under irrigation, which makes us quite unique. That introduces different management necessities. So a lot of what you'll see on these pages has to do with irrigation management and how we can respond to crop needs when they're under irrigation versus when they're not. So the Michiana Irrigated Corn and Soybean Conference is one of those. And I would just like to point out, we did a follow-up survey after 10 months to see what kind of an impact we really had. We could kind of estimate right after the program. And you'll see in these numbers, it doesn't look very inspiring. It says only an impact on 16,000 acres and only $167,000. But I would like to point out that in our initial survey, immediately following the event, we had 120 participants respond, and in our follow-up, we only had 30. So if you divide it per person, we still had our actual impact was even more than what the estimated impact was, which I think is really great. And that's what we're here is ultimately we're providing this education so that people can hopefully make it higher profitability for their farms. And then on the next page, I'd just like to point out that there are programs that did not take place in St. Joseph County, but still benefited St. Joseph County residents. One of these is called the Virtual Breakfast Series. Every Thursday morning at 7 o'clock a.m., there's a short presentation regarding some sort of crop management topic, and then a weather outlook, and then we have an opportunity to interact with our landscape specialists and see what kind of timely issues are emerging, what is going on in the field right now. And that is often statewide, but I happen to know that we also have many St. Joseph County participants. That is a program that has helped a lot of people and has helped us respond to things that maybe we didn't expect in the season during the season. And I'll end with that.
Harrison. I know a few of you, but the rest of you are new to me. I've been around since late 2015 as the ag educator, which Nicole now has that role. Sometime late maybe 2 years ago, I knew that I was going to be switching roles, and so we were able to jump in, which is pretty rare in extension anymore. We were able to jump in and get a search going and get Nicole on board before I switched over into my new role. So since May of last year, I'm now a soybean educator statewide. So I'm still based out of St. Joe County, but my responsibilities are statewide, focused 100% on soybeans. Half of my funding now comes from Michigan soybean, checkoff, and the other half from Michigan. So when I switched roles, I basically went to the broader package that you all benefit from. So the funding is coming from elsewhere, but a lot of the work that I do, as Nicole mentioned, a lot of irrigated sites down in St. Joseph County. Most of what I do is our on-farm research trials that I work in coordination with Michigan Soybean. Last year we had 4 sites, 4 farmers chose to cooperate with us, and we had about 14 sites throughout southwest Michigan. This year we've got 6 and 18, and so we're bringing a lot of the research that it just helps farmers to learn more about production practices that can be beneficial without them taking all the risk. So that's a big part of what I do in my new role. We also have an annual, I'll say a winter meeting series where we report back out what we found in these. And we've been hosting one of those in 2 rivers for the last 3 or 4 years now. So again, just wanted to introduce myself. You probably won't work directly with me, especially more of a statewide role. Just wanted to let you know that the broader package that Ministry of Extension brings, I'm part of that, and Nicole is doing, from what I can tell, is doing a great job. Her my ceilings will come to the floor, pushing out a lot of programming with specifically row crop agriculture. So thanks for the opportunity to introduce me. Thank you.
It's such a privilege to work with this team. And as I close this out, I'm just going to share a bit about some of the health and nutrition programs. This is really close to my heart. When I first started this intern role, I served as a health educator. And I did mental health first aid, I did social and emotional learning programs, stress management, anger management, healthy aging programs. So I just want to share that here in St. Joseph County in 2024, 984 residents took part in our extension health programs. From cooking matters to tin cuisine at the 3 Rivers Middle School, youth and families learned how to shop smart, cook healthy meals, and build those lifelong healthy eating habits. So our nutrition instructors logged almost 80 hours with these 200 middle schoolers. I have a son who is just graduating from middle school. He loves to cook, and I've been sharing some of the recipes from our wonderful nutrition instructors. So it's great to see the young generation take on cooking and learn how to eat healthy going forward. So our health programs also address mental health, food safety, chronic disease prevention, and it's so good to know that if we can invest in our health now, it will save healthcare costs down the line. So finally, your investment delivers a strong return on investment. Every dollar you invest into our programming is empowering our St. Joseph County colleagues, neighbors, and residents. Extension programming builds our youth programs. It helps youth thrive. It supports small business development, and it empowers families with healthy skills. So we truly thank you for your partnership, and we are so grateful for you, and we look forward to continuing this partnership going forward. I'll stop and ask if you have any questions, and if it's something I cannot feel, this very competent team will help you out.
Thank you, Pat. We appreciate your presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I've been approached by several farmers who apparently didn't know everything you all provide, all services. Is there a department or someone in your agency who is responsible or can become responsible to get the word out so that all the farmers can know what services you provide?
Yes, that is an ongoing task that we are trying to do. We're trying to get the word out more and more. We are the marketing team of course, we have a communications and marketing department, but we try to get the word out, whether it's through social media, in person, just dropping in the location to let them know. But I've also asked our agriculture and agribusiness staff, what are some of the approaches you use to get the word out about the amazing services you provide? The last thing we want is to be the best kept secret. So we're trying to get the word out in very creative ways.
Thank you.
Well, folks, my name is John Ford. I'm a farm business management educator based at St. Joseph County and actually cover 12 counties in total. Some of the ways that we actually promote the services and the education we offer are through articles. We have digital newsletters that we send out, mailing lists from people that actually have attended our programming. We always ask people that when they sign up, if we continue to send them information. A lot of cases we try to drop off information into local newspapers especially. We have a statewide newsletter outlet that we use through our main website, but we also try to submit those locally to people so that we can actually get into as many local news factors as possible. In some cases, we put up flyers, so exactly in town, we may project deodorants, so we put up a flyer in places. So we continually look for new ways to try to reach people because that's always a constant struggle to make sure you reach everybody as much as possible. But we utilize as many factors and tactics as possible, but we are always open to suggestions. If there's an avenue that we're missing that we should be looking at, doing more on, we're definitely welcome to hearing that because, as Kai mentioned, we're the promotion team, so it kind of helps to know if there's an area that we're overlooking. But those are some of the ways we try to reach folks.
Thank you.
A suggestion would be too to go to the township meetings as well. I'm not sure if you do kind of a similar presentation like this to the different townships and the city. That would be beneficial to villages. Just get the word out. Obviously. Any other questions for Commissioner Schaefer? Go ahead.
I guess I'm on a research kick tonight, but what I found very helpful and valuable is the research that the agency provides. If you have a specific question, I remember I had issue with a raspberry patch. I took a bug sample in one time, and they were right on with research and getting the answers back.
Thank you for sharing that. We also have an Ask Extension service, so if somebody wants to just reach out and type in a question, they can ask Extension and it'll be fielded off to the right person to respond. We never want anyone to be left hanging, so we always do the warm handoff to get those questions answered. So thank you for sharing.
Very good. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you all so much.
Okay, moving on to 8, County Administrators.
Good evening. I just wanted to give a quick thank you to the folks that presented tonight. I feel very fortunate in this county to be able to work with folks that we do. Kai being new, and I'm enjoying getting to know her, and of course, Rebecca and Laura and the folks that just been. We're lucky to have the folks that we do here to work with them. Thank you for our partnership. Thank you. Just a few things for tonight. Just wanted to update the continue to hold regular meetings regarding the continuation of the course renovation project and we transition there. So lots of meetings continue to happen there with coordination. The strategic planning process, we're making progress with the strategic plan. Many of you should have received a survey for those that attended the workshop to complete. And the hope is to bring to the July meeting a draft strategic plan for you to review with a final review at our August board meeting. I've been continuing one-on-one check-ins with the management team as well as an ongoing monthly management meeting, which is very important right now, given the fact that we've had a lot of transition here recently to a lot of our positions. A lot of hiring going on, and kind of musical chairs happening within some of our departments, so that's been keeping us all very busy. The jail project regarding the inorganics discharge system, I received an update from JPR, from the engineering firm that we hired to review that. They report that the topographic survey of the project site has been completed, and design drawings are now approximately 75% complete. They're working on the site-specific drawings for the dual auger screening system, and the project manual, the spec book is about 75% complete as well. Hope to have more information within the next few weeks of that completed safety project that we'll bring back to the board for some decisions at that time. We've had some regional collaboration recently, of course, attending the EDGE monthly board meeting. EDGE, which is, of course, our academic development arm or board of the county. They will be actually presenting at the July meeting as well, giving you an idea of what's been happening. A lot of exciting things, a lot of really great things for the county happening within that area. So looking forward to the report on that. Let's see here. Angie wanted me to share that the audit draft review started today. Actually, I got from vacation on the first day back, and the July, they should be presenting the report at the July meeting. It will be a virtual presentation. So that is happening. That's all I had to share for now. So, thank you.
That's the audit will be back then in July? Okay. All right, very good. Any questions for our county administrator? All right, seeing none, let's move on to 9, committee reports and appointments. Committee reports. Anybody with committee reports? Mr. Baker,
So, physical resources committee, today got some information, we still have many issues in. So we look forward to trying to figure out like what we can do to remedy those at this point. But just the handheld monitors, 78.9% of everything. So there's still some pretty significant issues that we need to take care of. Other than that, like you said, we're still moving forward with design. We should have numbers like for August. Yeah, next time we'll have any more information on August to move forward with.
very good. Commissioner Schiffer.
Report from the Human Services Commission. We all know Clayton Lazinski. He's been our housing coordinator for the last couple of years under our funding. His funding came to a close here in June. He successfully found employment in the housing arena, and his pledge to continue to be our spotlight person, assisting us in ways wherever he can. So he's not officially employed by us, but he's made a lot of great contacts, and I feel one of his Clayton. Good, in my opinion, good attitude for us. Sometimes it takes a while to develop relationships. So it was a short employment with lasting relationships.
Very good. Any other committee reports? I don't know if I mentioned it last month, but Alan Baylog is retired from Transportation Authority, so now we have Marcy Goodman was hired as his replacement member of the Transportation as a Transportation Director. We also have a new Operations Manager over there, so hopefully things continue on smoothly, and moving on. Commissioner, did you have a committee report that you wanted to share? No. Good? Okay. All right, very good. Moving on to unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Item A is the Carpel contract addendum request presented by our prosecutor, Deborah Davis. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. We've talked about the Carpel interfaces and how this is going to be implemented, and so this is just the last step, hopefully, for getting all the agencies and departments on the same page without having to duplicate services. Something that I've spoken with the agency heads from the law enforcement agencies that we work with, and almost all of them use TIMS, so that'll be huge help in each of their departments, on their clerk end and on ours as well. And then the JIS for the court system, the dockets and that sort of thing. The less manual data entry that we have to replicate, the less errors we have, the more efficient it is. So I'm asking that we be permitted to sign this addendum. They do have it ready to go. We're supposed to go live with Carpel well next week. However, we have a very serious child sexually abusive material trial that is going on Tuesday, so we're trying to push it back 1 week, which would also give them a little more time to get these interfaces ready to go as well. So we can get it approved and we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Malone. Do we have support?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Zotto. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor with an aye? Aye. Opposed with an nay? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to B, FY 2026 Reading Corrections Grant Resolution, presented by Ms. Melissa Lewis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to ask the Board of Commissioners to consider approving our fiscal year 26 Community Corrections Grant application for St. Joseph County. We did already present this to our Community Corrections Advisory Board. The grant application is requesting $133,664.68. This is very similar to what we requested this current fiscal year as well.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the FY 2026 Community Corrections Grant application and sign the resolution and waive reading.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Rosado, second by Commissioner Malone. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor with an aye? Aye. Opposed with an nay? Motion carries.
Gina?
Oh, is it roll call? Sorry, Gina.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngkin? Yes. Commissioner Malone?
Yes.
Commissioner Conlon?
Yes.
Chair Alves?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, C, Commissioners, room video screening request presented by Dustin Bainbridge. Welcome, Dustin. Thank you for the microphones.
I'm glad they're working better today.
They sound a lot better than last.
Yeah, so this is a request for adding in video streaming to the commissioner meetings. It was something that some of the commissioners were interested in, so I think the Physical Resource Committee took it up, and we looked at a few different vendors, and this is the proposal that seemed like the best fit.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the proposal from BC Sound as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Baker, second by Commissioner Younger. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Commissioners, without question, I totally support transparency and encourage the public involvement in St. Joseph County. Now, while the concept of live video streaming supports both, it certainly does not meet the ideal of personal attendance and, better yet, public comment. And while I support the concept of live video streaming, for me, the timing of this request is troublesome. $18,000 is a lot of money, mid-budget year, and not in this year's spending plan. Consider this. We're about 4 to 5 months away from our next year's budget. Why don't we use this 4 to 5 months window to effectively research and evaluate the actual need? Some initial questions could be researched during this window period. Why does both Sturgis and Three Rivers not video live stream? Maybe a survey. Like counties, what was their involvement in live streaming, and most effectively, what kind of response did it provide? Have we commissioners taken the opportunity to survey our own constituents? And I mentioned this in the executive committee. I personally would like to take this topic to my townships and get a little bit more input. And how about maybe a question response on our county-wide webpage to gauge involvement? Or see that happen, if it could happen, Mike. Commissioners, quite honestly, I fail to see the urgency of this expenditure. And without reiterating my previous reasonings, I would consider the passage of this motion as uninformed reasoning and premature, reckless spending. At this juncture, I'm a solid no, without further investigation. And I could be pulled over to a yes vote if we would consciously take the time to investigate whether or not the reality is going to provide substance results for us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Listen, I believe when this was reviewed, as a question that was brought up earlier, the cameras would be basically on us, but it wouldn't be voting.
Well, that's true. I think you could get a visual of the podium, would it be kind of like more from behind? But there also would be an option for the chair to basically go to where it would just show like the county logo if you didn't want a person on the podium to be on it at all while they're speaking.
Okay, and I was just trying to address that. The question was raised earlier. Not saying it's his position. I'm still my sales line. I'm going to face for radio, and so I'm not thrilled about
I don't think you get that option.
But it's fun. No, I understand that. But no, it's just respecting that part of it. It's just asking if that adjustment is within the ability of it.
Yeah, and it was something that we discussed, with the vendor when they came and did the site survey, was that as being a potential option for that very reason, for citizens who wouldn't want to be in here.
And then furthermore, I believe in the last 6 years, the question was raised about doing this 3 times, and 3 times not one person supported it as late as last year. So I don't know why it's already either right now, as opposed to just waiting for Monday for it.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir. Commissioners, I think hearing Commissioner Schaefer and Commissioner Malone speak on this topic, I have checked with my townships, and I've spoken to a few, probably less than 20 people, and less than 20 people have told me that, yeah, they like that, but none of them indicated that it needs to be done right now. I think the reason the executive, when we talked about it, I stated that this is something that the community wants in the interest of transparency. But I would be willing to wait until budget time and do some more research.
Any other discussion?
Can I say something?
No. I will ask this, Teresa. Again, we talked to legal. Is there? And again, I know nothing about this, but I think it's a big responsibility on the chair to hit a county logo. If somebody doesn't want to be on camera.
Well, and I did run that question by Rich, and this is a public meeting. If you come to a public meeting, you could be, and you report, you could end up on camera. There's nothing on our end.
There's no protection for
that we have to protect that.
What about minors?
He said that if you bring your minor to a public meeting, and that was Rich's, it was Sherry, our legal trained relative, first response to me when I asked the question. So it might require a little bit more digging. That was the first response.
And also too, what about, are there any legal issues as far as being on social media with, as far as liability from, say a commissioner or any of that? I mean, for the county, not necessarily for the commissioner, but for the county from a taxpayer standpoint. Did you talk to our attorney about that?
He did mention anything about that. I know in the past that was an argument that had been made as to why we didn't move forward with that. That was an argument that had been made. Whether or not that's still true 5 years later, or social media years now, I would want to verify that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, also I does broadcast their meetings. I don't know if they preserve it like we want to do for future preference. But I do know that they're on Facebook and they broadcast there.
The city does.
Yes, the city of Freeburg.
Not video live streaming, no, I just talked to Joe this afternoon.
All right. So that's why I said Facebook, they live do the meeting.
That might be very similar to Facebook has also recently announced that they're changing their policy regarding live streams, so they will automatically delete them after 30 days. We were looking at also, integrating YouTube as well, for if the board wanted, then the videos would stay on YouTube.
Okay, very good.
I got a larger elderly population in my district of Congress where a lot of these people just physically can't get to the meetings. I appreciate what you're saying, as far as people coming and coming forward and being here in person. I get that 100%. But there are people out there that just flat can't do it. And there's a lot of them. And it seems to me that the elderly community are more interested in politics than the people our age. And those are the people that would like to see this in my community.
What with broadcasting, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, or what with just plain broadcasting? Have we looked at that element at all?
I think it's probably very similar to the.
I think it's two different things. You got video live streaming versus just a broadcast program, live broadcast program.
That's a good question. Anything else? Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Malone?
No.
Commissioner Schaefer?
No.
Commissioner Conlon? Commissioner Rosado?
No.
Commissioner Youngster? Yes.
No. Okay. Thank you, Dustin. Thank you. Okay, moving on. D, FOIA software request presented by our undersheriff, David Northrup. Welcome, sir.
Mr. Chairman, honorable commissioners, I'm bringing to you today a request for FOIA software. We've already heard in the meeting that it's a concern, and we believe so from when we first came, and that was one of our first comments. We believe that we have, because there's not being tracked, we believe there's somewhere about 750 FOIA requests a year through the paperwork that we can see. That will affect both the sheriff's office, the dispatch, treasurer's office, clerk's office, county administration, all those would use that same software. So we presented that to you for your choice on funding that.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved, yes,
Support.
A motion by Commissioner Malone and second by Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion? Commissioner Baker.
Can this wait a couple months until we get to the budget time, or is this something we can do right now?
I would tell you that that's a choice that you can make, but I would tell you that that you've already heard some comments that are very true, and that we're trying to get some of these things caught up. And part of it is that you have to have a tracking. We have to figure out some way to track it. We have to find out some way to redact it. One of the things we're also looking at is what takes the longest time is any video redaction. This will not do that. We're looking into that as well and see if Motorola supplies that to us. Those right now we're on video, we're going frame by frame and have to redact it. So if you have a 75-minute video, it's probably going to take you a half a day just to redact one video with the current software and video system that we have. So I'm telling you there's an urgency to it, but I'm telling you that it's also not just you buy one program in the world, it's going to be a perfect place.
Right. Thank you.
Good. Then just follow up on that. Basically, the way it's being done right now, you can virtually pay for it when you save labor costs for the internal and failing to gain any ground.
Yes-ish. Is that anything that's in a written format that is really going to help us there? Anything that's in video format, we have a meeting with Motorola tomorrow to have them try to help fix their problem that they passed on to us, and we have a long-term contract with them, so we're trying to fix that problem at no cost to the county.
Very good. Any other questions?
So this is actually not in the budget, so should
is a proposal, a contract, so we didn't bring it for you because it is an agreement. We can also, it should be a budget amendment, you are correct.
If I could speak by approving this motion request, the amount is on here, so that it would trigger a budget amendment, which I would do. Should you vote to approve it?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be approved. It is,
If you're gonna approve if you vote to approve it tonight, you're gonna approve the dollar amount, $14,186. So we're giving us permission to move forward with the proposal, and then Angie can next board meeting to make the budget amendment.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions? Okay, we have a motion to approve the justified contract. All in favor with an eye?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Conlon.
Yes.
Commissioner Youngberg.
yes.
Commissioner Whitaker.
Yes.
Chair Malone.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Sir, Commissioner Rosado.
If I may, I think something that was left out in the presentation and wasn't mentioned by the commission, but the audience might be wondering, what's the urgency of doing this? The other failure to have done this could result in lawsuits to the county for liability issues, for failure to respond in a timely fashion, etc. And so by taking this action, I think we can avoid some of that.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Rosado. Moving on to E, Annex Water Mitigation and Mold Remediation Project, presented by Jody or Aaron Dahl.
No, I'm not Jody. So I'm here on Jody's behalf to talk about the proposal that was brought to the executive committee after it went to the Physical Resources Committee. And this is for the Annex project. This is the water mitigation and mold remediation. So after the Physical Resources Committee met, there were some adjustments to the quotes that were requested, and what is being proposed today is the service master quote in addition to another quote from Helen J that will replace the flex pipe instead of trying to clean it at a much more reasonable rate.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the recommended bids as presented.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Baker, second by Commissioner Malone. Further discussion?
Yeah, we kind of changed this around, kind of by the lead of Commissioner Malone here. I had brought up that I don't think sealing the mold into the ductwork was such a great idea. He kicked a couple other ideas around, we ended up splitting the bids, getting them back in and saved us a whole bunch of money. So it's a good thing.
Good. Thank you guys for your efforts.
That's a good thing. I just have a concern with the actual motion. It's very vague. The motion is the only thing that's going to be in documentation going forward, so having a dollar amount or who we approve is what I would prefer.
Okay, thank you for that. Further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor with an eye? Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Thank you, Aaron.
You're stuck with me for one more.
And we get her again, FY 2025 Materials Management Plan Grant Agreement, presented by Aaron.
Yes, so this is a grant agreement from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, known as EAGLE. And so the grant funds in the amount of $100,469.50 will cover costs associated with planning, public participation, data collection, and administrative staffing.
Very good. We have a motion.
I make a motion, move to approve the 2025 Materials Management Planning Grant Agreement with the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes, and Energy.
Second. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Baker, second by Commissioner Malone. Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor with an eye?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Thank you, Aaron. G, Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment, presented again by our new Sheriff, Dave Northrup.
Again, Mr. Chairman and honorable commissioners, reading for vehicle that was ordered last year, November, purchased 2 vehicles, or ordered 2 vehicles. They arrived, we went and picked them up, and to find out that the budget actually allowed for 1. We're asking that the second one be approved, and the next year's budget would remove a vehicle from that purchase. So just move that vehicle up 1 year. I can answer any questions. I did try to find out why that was done.
Thank you. We have a motion, so yes,
Support. We have a motion by Commissioner Wong, second by Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, roll call. Roll call.
yes.
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 Yes. We're going to get to a microphone. Motion carries. Very good. All right, now we're on our agenda 12, Commissioner comment time. Commissioner Rosado.
I don't have any comments.
Commissioner comment.
Just one, I said, when I'm in favor of transparency all the time, and I think that's important. I need a little more information before I say the actual thing. I appreciate everybody being here and expressing their thoughts. I think it's important for us to hear that. We don't always have to like it, but it's important for us to people to hear that. So I say thank you.
Commissioner Young.
I actually looked it up, and the other commissioners that didn't want to proceed with that motion on the video recording could have made a motion to lay it on the table, which is a superseding motion to the main motion that was laid. So just so you know, you can make a motion to lay something on the table with or without a date. So, millage last month, the millage vote. You know, had that, but then 2 separate motions. It was just the millage was a vote. I voted yes. I did not want a 3.1% increase. So that was 2 separate motions. I voted yes to the millage and no to the 3.1%. So that is something we could have considered at the time. I didn't. But looking back, it probably could have been and should have been 2 separate votes. As a result of the sheriff's office coming in and talking about potentially fleet rental enterprise, whatever, we formed a fleet committee. And I was just shocked that we had 61 vehicles in this county that were county owned. So the committee has requested some information, we started our research, and we're meeting to kind of get a grasp on what's happening with all the vehicles in this county, and if we need all of those. So that's all I have.
I appreciate my fellow commissioners heeding my vote in the way I impassioned plea. I think we're going to get there. I really do. It just needs to be investigated a little further. I'm real interested in just plain broadcasting, but certainly open to whatever. And I hope physical resources will take another look at it. They did a great job at bringing at least a forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Thank you. Question was raised about potential for legal lawsuit and all that. I believe you spent a minute as an officer, and I think if you think back, sir, you know that we can't comment until something's decided. So there is your answer. Okay. As far as the Eagle View, that Eagle View was done for the county. What we were offering is to share those services to other townships and villages if they needed it or wanted to have access to it. The way governance works is that we spend money out of our resources. If other entities use it, we share them at a reduced cost. And actually there is many times that when you go for grants, because of the fact that you work cooperatively with other agencies within your area, you actually score points and do better on grant applications. So there's a very common practice throughout the state. I can't speak beyond that every day with it. So if they don't want to use it, nobody's making them. didn't change the fact that we needed it, and we will be using it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker.
On the tax thing, I'm 100% with the commission on here. No options were ever given in the meeting. I paid out of my own pocket, sat down with the tax attorney. They explained all the options that I had with that thing. By no means did I want to zero the taxes off of St. Joseph County. What I wanted to do was take 3.1% right off the board. That's where I wanted to go with that. That's not how it got transpired, or that's not how it got shown that we were busy. It got spun really hard, real quick. We were told at that meeting that we had to do it right then. I had asked if we have a special meeting. It hadn't been done right now because for tax reasons. 2 weeks later, I went to the Minden Township meeting and they had just passed theirs 2 weeks later. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Thank you. So at the end of every meeting, for those who attend regularly, they know this, that there's a commissioner comment section, which is what we just all participated in. So it was brought up by me at that portion that what we did was just defund the county, right? And that was the reality of what the vote was. I don't know what the intention were, but the reality was, the practicality of it was, we had staff members looking at us in the audience saying, I might not get a paycheck as much, right? That's not spitting anything, that's reality. That's practicality. As a chair, I represent the first district, which is Three Rivers, Flowerfield, and Bibby's Township. My residents, I owe it to them to speak up. As a chair, as a vice chair, whoever it is, I will always speak up for my residents and stand up for them. Especially when I see something as egregious as that. So I know others have stood up and said, oh, as a chair, you can't, I will always make commissioner comments. That's never going to stop. Eagle View. So I reached out to my townships in my city. We did go through a very transparent process of getting Eagle View before the county. We had it at multiple executive meetings. We talked about it. We discussed it at normal commission meetings. We literally had a meeting where we invited township supervisors, assessors to the sheriff's office training center. And Eagle View did a huge presentation. We were more transparent in that than a lot of the things that I've seen in the past. It ultimately was decided that, as Commissioner Malone pointed out, we would do it because the county could benefit from it. Our employees could benefit from it. Our constituents could benefit from it. And also, in the end, there were members of the community of municipalities that decided that they wanted to participate. The city of Rivers uses it. They cost share with us, and that's a good thing. As Commissioner Malone pointed out, it's good to work out work with the townships and cities. If they can benefit from it, if the assessors can save money for the townships by using it, that's a phenomenal win-win for everybody involved. We certainly will, in 3 years, talk about it when the contract comes up. And if it's something that we think is beneficial moving forward, we'll do that. But that will obviously wait until that. So I appreciate everybody coming, and I hope everybody has a safe trip home. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. We have a motion by Commissioner Schaefer,